lot of us may not agree on various topics when it comes to the Baltimore Ravens, but I think one thing that we can all agree on is that this has been a very rough offseason for our favorite football team. Just think about it. Think about how we even entered the offseason. January 19th, we were playing the Buffalo Bills, and then it was a play to tie the game up. 2-point conversion. Mark Andrews just dropped it, and that was so heartbreaking for us as Ravens fans. It was like, oh, and it felt like the world was behind the Ravens almost, like, all right, this is going to be Lamar's year where he finally gets it. But then they ended up coming up short. So then it didn't stop there because the whole thing with Justin Tucker came out, and that has just been crazy, and it's not even over yet. But then they followed up with, Lamar Jackson. Oh, yeah, he going to get that third MVP. Oh, yeah, it's looking good. The numbers looking good. The film looking good. Yeah, he gets Josh Allen, whatever. Nope. So Ravens lost that too. And then it was like, all right, well, Terrell Suggs, baller. He was killing it ever since his rookie year. Marshall Yonder, baller. And we know it's harder for offensive linemen to get into the Hall of Fame, but at least one of them got to get into the Hall of Fame, right? No, nothing. So then it's like, all right, what could possibly happen next? And then the whole Ben Cleveland stuff comes out. And it's like, really? We can't catch a break, man. So it's like right now as Ravens fans, we almost thinking, what's next? But something that I was just thinking about a little bit ago. And I'm like, well, you know what? That's a positive for the Baltimore Ravens because we need all the positives that we can possibly get. It actually has to do with our wide receiver room, surprisingly, right? And after all the conversations that we had over the year, oh my God. But anyway, before we get into it, make sure you subscribe to the channel, turn the notifications on, and leave a like on the video. I want y'all to stay up to date with everything going down with our favorite football team, the Baltimore Ravens. And without further ado, let's get into it. So we know who our wide receiver room consists of. The main guys are obviously Zay Flowers, who just made his first Pro Bowl and was enjoying spending some time in Jamaica with his lady. So shout out to Zay Flowers, and also Rashad Bateman, another former first-round pick. Took him a little bit to get going, but once he coupled health with opportunity, it was a beautiful thing. And then we saw his connection, his rapport, his chemistry with Lamar Jackson skyrocket. I remember last offseason, we would hear about it in like training camp and stuff, and we would get all hyped like, oh man, Lamar Jackson and Rashad Bateman, they made a play. Oh yeah, let's go. But let's see, because that's training camp. I don't know. We don't seem to make some plays here and there throughout their tenure as teammates, but let's see if this is real deal. And I remember going into last offseason, and I was saying it, like, Eric DeCosta came out, like, oh, yeah, I'm bullish on Rashad Bateman. I believe that with the right opportunity and with health, then he could be really good. And I was thinking, all right, Eric DeCosta, you saying that. And yeah, we knew Rashad Bateman got potential, but we ain't seen it. And you cannot rely on Rashad Bateman. You can't put all your eggs into the Rashad Bateman basket. I will continue saying that. I'm like, no, don't. What are you doing? But they did it, and it worked out for both Zay Flowers and Rashad Bateman. It is very, very nice, in my opinion, that right now, going into an offseason, that wide receiver is not the biggest. It's not one of the most pressing needs for the Baltimore Ravens. Now, don't get it twisted. I still would not mind the Baltimore Ravens adding a wide receiver to the room. Like, if they want to get a DK Metcalf, I ain't gonna complain. Because, again, I feel like it'd be a perfect fit. So I wouldn't mind the Ravens adding that big body wide receiver that Lamar Jackson, again, he been hinting at for the longest. I would not mind them adding that deep threat, big body, big catch radius, jump ball wide receiver to the room. I certainly would not mind that. So I ain't saying that. But it is nice to know that the wide receiver room is not the Baltimore Ravens' biggest pressing need heading into next year. Because for years and years, and again, not saying that they can't upgrade there or add to the talent, but I'm so glad that Ravens are at the point where they are, because it makes such a big difference. Now, obviously, you are going to have to address the room, because Tylan Wallace, pending free agent, so we'll see what happens there. Nelson Aguilar, pending free agent, so we'll see what happens there. Tez Walker, he'll be going into his second year, so we'll see what goes down with that. And Anthony Miller, I know they signed him to a reserve future contract, but he's not going to be one of their primary receivers. I would expect him to probably be on the practice squad again. You never know, but I would expect that. And again, I got to reiterate it again. I'm not saying that the Ravens should not upgrade there, which I think that they should. And I think that they should add to the room. And again, it won't hurt to add somebody of significance, but because again, to really bring out, to continue to bring out the best in Zay Flowers, to continue to bring out the best in Rashad Bateman, and to continue to bring out the best in a Lamar Jackson. That big body wide receiver would complement that room so well. And I don't want to hear, oh, Mark Andrews. I don't want to hear, oh, Isaiah Likely. Those are tight ends. Different positions. Both ballers, but they are not wide receivers. But anyway, it feels good going into this offseason knowing that wide receiver, not necessarily all the way taken care of, but we know who the Ravens guys are. And again, they can still add to it now. Again, I'm not saying that because I know somebody's going to get it twisted, but it is nice to know what they are capable of moving forward. Now we reach my favorite part of these videos where we get to feature your questions. If you'd like to take part in it, you can send an email to teamkeepitclean@gmail.com, or for the patrons, you can send your question in the DM directly on Patreon. And if you'd like to join them, you can go to patreon.com/Ingravenvids. First question came from my guy, Shawn G Jr. He said, I'm so tired of this. Hey, Ingraven, I just don't know what to say after that loss to the Bills. Another heartbreaking loss where we should have had the chance to win in overtime. If I told you at halftime that the Bills would score 6 points in the second half and still win a game, you would say I'm crazy. Oh, yeah, we would have for sure. I would have said, you are loco, my friend. But turned out we were the crazy ones for believing that the Ravens were going to win that game. Anyway, he said, no Ravens fan can blame this on Harbaugh. Time and time again, these players continue to fold in key moments. I won't get on Lamar despite his turnovers because he put us in position to win the game. Mark Andrews, who is supposed to be the most reliable player on this offense, had an absolute stinker. Every year in the playoffs, he folds. Trying to juke out a player when you hardly ever do that is just stupid. A lot of people, they didn't like that. I disagree with that part. Everything that you said, no problem. But with Mark Andrews doing that, like, don't y'all want people to switch it up? Don't you want players to not be predictable? So, and I'm sure everybody who's saying, oh, Mark Andrews, you shouldn't have done that, you shouldn't have done that. If it would have worked, or if he wouldn't have fumbled the ball, I bet y'all would have been saying, oh, no, hey, great play, Mark Andrews. That was amazing. Nice job. But only because it didn't work, everybody like, oh, you shouldn't have done that. Da, da, da. But anyway, he said, you are not Zay Flowers. Whoa. Okay. Whoa. Hold on. Well, he's not. But anyway, he said, just catch the ball and go down. The drop on a 2-point conversion is unforgivable. You are literally wide open and just have to fall back into the end zone. Now, yeah, that part was tough. That ball was really tough because literally nobody touched him. There was not a defender next to him. He was wide open. He ain't had to make no tough catch. He ain't had to make no crazy catch. And Lamar put him in position to do his signature move. Because, you know, like Lamar, so many times, I know y'all know what I'm talking about too. Lamar will throw Mark Andrews the ball. Mark Andrews will catch it and fall down. Like, he's done that so many times. And this is an opportunity to do that. But anyway, he said, I'm so tired of these losses every single year. Us fans support this team to the absolute maximum, and we get performances like this every postseason. Yeah, that is the part of being a fan, though. That's the risk you take with being a fan, especially of a good football team with the Baltimore Ravens, because they be in it every year, and they give you that hope every year, and then, yeah, you know the rest. He said, Tony Romo and Nance made me want to watch this game on mute the way they just kept talking about Josh Allen. Guess we have to wait until next year for that Super Bowl trophy. Next question came from my guy Clyde. He said, Grand rising to you and your family, praying all is well. I wanted to say thank you for keeping it 100 regardless of the outcome. This playoff loss hurts more than last year just because I know they are better than this. They have to stop beating themselves. Do you think it's time for Harbaugh to move on or be demoted? John Harbaugh will never be demoted as a Baltimore Ravens coach ever. You think that John Harbaugh will never be put at a lower position on the Baltimore Ravens than head coach ever, unless he decides that. It won't be up to the Ravens to decide that. It would have to be him. But I do think a breath of fresh air could help. And again, I've said this countless times. It would not be a bad thing. It would not be, oh, we hate John Harbaugh. No. It could be just a way to sort of refresh for both sides. John Harbaugh go his ways, Ravens go their ways, and both sides could still be successful. Next question came from Coach G's Corner. He said, what's up, Ingraven dog? I'm hurt just like you all, bro. It's hard to digest the Ravens losses because there's not a team we step on the field with that you just think they're just better than us. We faithfully, well, the Eagles, they were pretty good. Like, anyway, he said, we faithfully beat ourselves and it's frustrating. Lamar has to take care of the football. That's true. Very true. He said, I love him, but it's the same old story with him when it counts the most. Yes and no. Did it count? His turnovers count in that playoff game? Yes, they did for sure. Did Lamar do more than enough to put us in position to win in that game? Yeah, he did. His first half was like, whoa, hey, what's going on here? Second half, it's like, oh yeah, there we are. But anyway, continue. He said, as far as the offseason, we have to get Marlo, Ardarius, and Ricard re-signed. Stevens, Stanley, and the rest of the free agent guys can go respectfully. Oh, he even put Stanley on that list because that's been a little hot topic. A lot of back and forth on that. He said, in my opinion, Mark Andrews should still be a Raven, but I wouldn't be mad if Likely was tight end one if we can't keep Mark. Well, they can. They got options. They got options, but you got to make some tough decisions because some people are going to want to get paid, and yeah, you can't keep everybody, so we'll see. Actually, you can keep everybody. Look at the Eagles. He said, who and what would you like to see the Ravens do this offseason as far as personnel? I think get Marcus Williams traded and out of Baltimore. Get as much capital for him as possible. Yeah, now that would be interesting if they could find a trade partner for Marcus Williams, but they're probably going to designate him as a post-June 1st cut, so he could just be released and they could spread out that money, that dead money, over the next 2 years. So I don't think he's going to get traded, but we'll see. He said, and replace him through free agency or the draft. Then we have to get that O-line right along with an edge rusher. Yeah, because the O-line, Pat McCarry, he could possibly be gone. Ronnie Stanley, who you kicking out. You said, hey, Ronnie Stanley, don't come back. Ben Cleveland obviously ain't coming back. So Ravens, as far as starters and depth, they're going to have to get it right on the offensive line. And edge rusher, oh yeah, I agree with you 1,000,000% on that one. He said, I know this is a fairly long message, but I just care about my Ravens, and I know we can shake back. Much love, dog. Keep the great Ravens content up this offseason. And hashtag Ravens flock for life. Appreciate you. Looking forward. I mean, we ain't got no choice but to do that, right? Next question came from Mars Rose. Said, this one stings. Thanks for reading in advance. This kind of interaction with the fans on YouTube is a lot more accessible than the live chat, but I still try and catch a few streams when I can. Hope I can offer a little positivity. He said it was a rough loss against the Bills. Been a long 3 days since, this was 3 days after the Bills game, obviously. He said, but I can't stay mad at the team when they had such a successful season. Awards don't mean anything, but our team is in the history books regardless. I disagree. I think awards actually put you even more in the history books, like the MVP award, obviously the Super Bowl trophy award. That one will definitely put you in the history books. But it was a successful regular season. It was limited success overall on the season because obviously they did good. They went, were they 12-5? Yeah, they were 12-5. So to start 0-2, and then for you to start 0-2. And for you to only lose 3 more games for the rest of the season and 4 more games for the rest of the year, that's pretty good. Obviously, we would have only wanted them. We don't want them to ever lose, and we would have rather them only lost 3 more games the rest of the year instead of 4 more games because that 4th game was the playoff game. But yeah, it is what it is. Anyway, he said Lamar is this generation's Peyton Manning, and since Mahomes is the generation's Brady, we're due to see Lamar come up with a ring soon. Comparisons are just about postseason success. It's time to hit the books and study up on the draft and free agency. I think as long as we build our team from the trenches first and draft a tackle and defensive end with our first 2 or 3 picks, this team can compete. Look, they always gonna be able to compete. They always gonna be right there. They always gonna be, as long as they healthy enough, they always gonna be in the playoffs. That's not our issue. It's about getting it done. It's about getting through that gauntlet, man. He said, looking at the free agency, there are a lot of offensive linemen that may be available, including Zach Martin, Cam Robinson, Brandon Sheriff, Mekhi Becton, Tyron Smith, and Jedrick Willis, plus former Ravens, Kevin Zeitler, and Morgan Moses. That would be something, wouldn't it? If the Ravens did a little reunion with some linemen. And then Mekhi Becton, I know a lot of people have been talking about him, former Louisville Mekhi Becton. Anyway, he said this offseason just feels less threatening than last offseason did. The team is mostly together, and Monken may not want to coach for Vegas. Oh, you end up being right, or Jacksonville. The Ravens end up keeping him. So I wonder if he turned the jobs down or they turned him down. They just looked in other directions. They're like, oh no. But anyway, he said Baltimore's a place everyone thinks is one step away from a ring. It makes us a real talent magnet. I think we're good. Yeah, and I think too. Well, just the way that the Baltimore Ravens, especially the way that they operated this year, and especially even, we were just talking about it earlier with the wide receivers. You think about that and look at how Baltimore used to be viewed in the past when it came to wide receivers. Like, oh, don't go there. That's where receivers' careers go to die. Oh, no, They just throw it up and hope for a pass interference. Yeah. So this ain't even just a Lamar thing. This is the thing back with Flacco too. Like, they were like, no, receiver Baltimore, no thanks. But now, especially after last year, you see the use of the wide receivers, how they were implemented consistently. Could have been a little bit more, but how they were implemented in the game. Zay Flowers over 1,000 yards. Rashad Bateman had like 9-10 touchdowns, man. So you see it, and it's steps. It's been a lot of baby steps before, but now we're taking some adult steps forward. So I like it. So you right about that whole talent magnet part. Next question came from my guy Benjamin. He said, "What's going on, Mr. Team? Keep it clean and Mr. One and Only Ingraven. Hope all is well. This your boy Benny live from the 410 home of the Crabs." Hey, message to all the fans: let's not be the Crabs we love and enjoy up here in Baltimore and Maryland. Let's keep the energy in Birdland, man. Oh man, we're so close to getting that trophy and Lamar rocking at number one. We're close, but we're tired of being close. We need to be there. Anyway, he said, I know you like to read our whole question, and I appreciate that. I really do. Check out this. I was listening to the Vault podcast, and they mentioned that the Ravens got 86% of the starters returning. That's a lot. That's a whole lot. Well, at least 86% of starters returning for now. So that would mean that 86% of the starters are under contract. It don't necessarily mean they returning because stuff could happen. Anyway, he said, but my question is, do you think we are about 5 or 6 new incoming players away from getting it done next year? They could be. That's a lot. That's a lot. That's a lot of new players away from getting it done. But they could be. And I don't even think it's that much. I think it could be like 3 or 4. But I mean, because you got to get the offensive line right, obviously. We'll see what happens with Ronnie Stanley and whatnot. And even Makari. But so left tackle, left guard. Yeah, left tackle and left guard, because it's going to be Tyler Linderbaum. It's going to be Falele. So it's going to be Falele. He ain't going nowhere. They're not going to bench him, anything like that. It's going to be Falele. And then Roger Rosengarten, if they keep him at right tackle. So you got 2 offensive line spots. Edge, in my opinion, that could be a big one right there. Edge and corner. Corner also, because Brandon Stevens, he's a free agent. So that's another spot. But then you got like safety, which I think is not as pressing of a need. I mean, you still want Kyle Hamilton to be able to move around, so getting another guy there. You got wide receiver, like we were talking about earlier. You could do a nice little upgrade there. With getting that big body guy, just open up the offense that much more. So maybe you're right when they talk about like 5 to 6 new incoming players. So I guess he was spot on. So my apologies. Anyway, he said another Kyle Hamilton would be great, but we supposed to get another dog like A.W. or Darius Washington and Nate Wiggins. Okay, I mean, so yeah, you can get that. That's what we were just talking about too. Another corner, another safety. Corner is more pressing need than safety, in my opinion, but a safety would help as well because it could, again, allow you to do more with Kyle Hamilton. He said, moral of the story is Ravens are key at developing players and keeping them per se until Isaiah likely says checkmate on Andrews, and Andrews too loyal to not take a pay cut and want to retire a Raven. So we are in great hands, and this is the start of a dynasty, and I'm not saying that. I'm not going to say that. I would love for it to be one. But I remember I started running my mouth about dynasty back in 2019 during the regular season, and we hadn't even sniffed a playoff game yet. And look what happened with that. So I ain't talking dynasty at all with the Baltimore Ravens until they got to get at least one. They got to get one, and they have not gotten one. They ain't even been in the Super Bowl yet. So dynasty for me, nah, I can't say it. But anyway, he says, so we are in great hands, and this is the start of a dynasty. And if here at EDC, he ain't not done yet. We got 11 picks, free agency trades, and not to mention practice squad and young players already in the team like TJ Tampa, Tez Walker, that can be another, or Darius Washington and Bateman. Chess, not checkers. Well, it seems like Ravens been playing checkers a lot. Because again, Ravens are not outsmarting anybody. But like, let's talk about that real quick, because that's something that's said about the Ravens a lot. People say, oh, the Ravens like to zig when all these other teams zag, or is it the Ravens like to zag when other teams zag, whatever it is. But they're not outsmarting anybody because they've been building nice rosters. They've been building nice teams. They've been losing, though. They've been losing. They've been coming up short. And we hate that for them. We hate it for us. We hate it, period. But they're not outsmarting anybody. They're not. Because the same thing keeps on happening. So we love this tape, but we got to be real about them too. They not outsmarting anybody. So until the Ravens get out of their own way, and I also credit the other teams, because these other teams, they just be sitting back, oh yeah, Ravens gonna make that mistake. Ravens gonna turn that ball over. Ravens gonna mess up somehow, some way, because they continue to implode. When you continue to implode year after year after year, you keep doing it. You ain't outsmarting nobody. So they got to get that right. They got to. That's so important in order for them to have the ultimate success. He said Lamar's 28. I see him touching at least 3, max 5 to 6 Super Bowls. That's at least 3 to 6 trophies for us later. That would be great. Let's get that first one first. But that would be amazing. I hope you end up being right. He says, sorry for the long message, but had to boost the morale for the flock. Have a blessed one, brother. Appreciate you, Vinny.